A big thank you comes to you today from Dead Rabbit via Patreon for his long support of the channel. As ROFLthopter versus Sisay Weatherlight Captain, we have some fast mana, so I'll pray that we're going to keep hold of it. We're on the draw as well. Drew into another waste, so good idea to get down the Tron lands as soon as possible, just in case we get really lucky and top deck into a bunch of those. Now seeing a Yavimaya from our opponent, that is a Spatial Contortion as well, so we just throw out the Makokoro and threaten the Liberator on our opponent's turn, I think. We can at least force our opponent's counter on their turn if they've got counters. Okay, a Mystifying Maze, and that does come down. That's a Rings of Brighthearth for us, which will combo off with the Basalt Monolith. Throw out the Inventor's Fair. And I think I just want to surprise my opponent with the Forsaken Monument before our next turn, so we'll forego the plus counter on the Liberator and just swing in here, assuming that they don't have anything for us. Now a Homeward Path, they've obviously got all the green mana that they could want with the Yavimaya, and that allows them into a Rixmathese, so still just have Celestia or Simic mana at the moment, blue and green, so now we can attempt the Forsaken Monument. Plus counter on the Liberator for doing it as well. Do have Metalcraft now, so we gain a plus counter from the Inventor's Fair. Draw into a Karn's Bastion. We're not really doing anything else this turn, so maybe proliferating with Karn's Bastion is okay. I think I'd rather get down the Rings of Brighthearth though, so that we can draw even more cards with the Kozilek. Might be able to take out our opponent's commander with this during the next turn cycle. So yeah, let's swing in with the Liberator. Well, still don't have their colours fixed, unfortunately, unless this is a Simic Sisay deck, which I don't see why it would be. They managed to get down a Goreclaw, though. Remove a counter from the Rixmathese, hoping my opponent can get something done that he actually wants to do this game. Throw out the Rings of Brighthearth, forgetting the fact that we're tapping for a bunch of extra mana. So gain 2 life, and just for the sake of drawing extra cards, I'll go for the Spatial Contortion onto the Goreclaw here. Potentially a waste, but like I said, we draw more cards with the Kozilek this way. Okay, just another waste for us, so I'm glad I did that now. Let's play the Kozilek, the Great Distortion. We're going to draw 5 cards with it. So Liberator getting another plus counter on it. We gain 2 life from the Monument, and Kozilek going to draw us, like I said. Okay, and they decide to scoop to that. That's fair enough. I mean, I don't think their colours really lined up for them there. I don't think for a second that they'd make a Simic Sisay deck, because it doesn't really make much sense. So just unlucky for them there, I think. As is ROFLthopter versus Shorikai this time, and plenty of ramp there. We'll keep. It's not the best hand, but we're on the draw at least. Our opponent has a turn 1 Sol Ring. Draw into Ulamog, so yeah, get down the Tron lands as soon as possible in this deck. Seeing a Tech Edge from our opponent, we'll have to be careful around. A Shimmermere for some redundancy. Throw out the Reliquary Tower, and a Thought Vessel is fine, speaking of redundancy. Turn 3 Shorikai for our opponent, holding up that Tech Edge, although they don't have the mana to put into it. Okay, so an Inventor's Fair for us, throw that down, and we can play the Mind Stone. Then we hold up the Liberator during our opponent's turn. Playing a Pilot token with the Shorikai at the end of our turn. Now playing a Celestis. So during their turn, play the Liberator. We'll have to be cautious of the fact that it can switch between day and night here with the Celestis in play, because I think they get a loot with this. Yeah, they loot with that. So Inventor's Fair going to gain us a life thanks to the Metalcraft. There is the Rings of Brighthearth. This is 4 mana to sacrifice it. We have to worry about the Tech Edge now, because they could blow up the Inventor's Fair. Well, we'll try and encourage them to go down a land with the Tech Edge. Let's just throw down a Wastes and get out the Shimmermere, I think. Plus counter on the Liberator. If we play the Rings during our opponent's turn, we'll get another counter on that. So now swinging at our opponent for the first couple of points of damage. Another Pilot down with Shorikai. Haven't looked at what they've been discarding actually. A Torrential Gearhulk and a Dig Through Time. They've got 7 cards in hand after the Marsh Flats. Not using the Tech Edge on us yet. A Divine Visitation. We'll make some flyers. So getting down Ulamog as soon as possible is the way to go here, I think. Play out the Rings during our opponent's turn. A counter on the ROFLthopter again. And in response, they do go after an angel token that triggers circular logic, so they discarded a madness card there. And that is counter a target spell. Yeah, so that feels bad, because that is a combo piece. We could have gone for infinite mana with the Basalt Monolith there and got down the Ulamog next turn. Would have tutored up the Basalt Monolith with this. I think we could have afforded it. Anyway, brings a Bright Hearth down. Alright, a Mana Crypt. So, we gain 3 mana this turn. Yeah, just still 1 mana shy of the Ulamog, unfortunately. So let's throw down the Mana Crypt, just so that we don't allow our opponent to loot. And then we can go for the Inventor's Fair and play the spell, if we decide to do that during the next turn. So we'll just pass straight through to our opponent here. Our opponent just continuing to want to play during our turn, not swinging in with the Angel, because they don't know if we can buff the Liberator or not. Sacrifice the Inventor's Fair. And we've got 4 mana left up here. It's tempting to go after the Sphinx. Where is that? The Sandstone Oracle to refill our hand, but I think I just want to be getting down the Ulamog next turn. So I think we just have to go for some more mana, to be honest. Maybe we can just make it Everflowing Chalice so we can draw into a Sol Ring later on. The Everflowing Chalice will still tap for 2 mana. And that puts another counter on the Liberator, so would have been able to block the Angel token had they swung him. The Celestus is going to flip round into Night now. I think they've got enough cards in hand though, they've got 7 cards at the moment. Alright, and a Sculpting Steel, so yeah, that's where getting into that Sphinx would have been really good. We'll hold on to the Sculpting Steel as long as we can, I think. Just pass through to our opponent. We can play the Ulamog during our opponent's turn. Shorikai being activated, as you would expect. Noteworthy that they have discarding an Avacyn. They've discarded Path to Exile as well, so I assume they're just holding on to a bunch of counter magic. But we'll make them do that during our turn. A Miraculous Recovery. Return a target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a plus counter on it. So, cheating out the Avacyn. They have tapped down their blue mana, so maybe go for the Ulamog now then. We can exile the Avacyn, as well as the enchantment. So Urza going to get another counter on it. Exile the Avacyn, exile the Divine Visitation. Now they've got an Ulamog to deal with. They could take control of it with some blue magic. We do have the Homeward Path, but they can blow that up with the Tech Edge. Alright, and they've got the Jawari Disruption there. So still with 6 cards in hand, they do manage to counter us. Seeing a Strip Mine from our opponent now as well. A Proteus Staff. Activating that straight away, flipping it into nothing that's really, really bad, I imagine. They're just going to have a bunch of big creatures that they can switch their pilots into, so as a whole, Primal Tide converted from a pilot. Alright, a Conduit of Ruin. I think we definitely do just do that during our opponent's turn at this point. Another pilot from Shorikai at the end of the turn. Proteus Staff, transforming a pilot again. And this time it is Jingataxius. So at the end of the turn we'll go Sculpting Steel, I think. They're about to draw a bunch of cards. We'll copy their Sol Ring here, I think. They draw another card with the Nezahal. Copy the Sol Ring, now go for the Conduit of Ruin before they draw 7. Another counter on the Liberator. That can take us into the Kozilek, not that one. The Great Distortion, no doubt that they will counter that, but we'll go for it anyway. Maybe should have got rid of the Spatial Contortion during that last turn as well, so that we can draw more cards. Anyway, let's try the Kozilek, the Great Distortion. Actually over tap for that. Liberator getting another counter on it. They hopefully cannot counter a triggered ability here. Alright, a Warping Whale, some lands, got another Urza land. The Commander's Plate could be useful to us. Highly doubt that we'll manage to get down the Commander's Plate though. Okay, the Kozilek does come down, so we could maybe counter their counters. Let's play the Commander's Plate immediately. They draw another card with the Nezahal. Drop the Urza Tower. And then give our Commander protection, or try to. Okay, that jumps up to a 10-11, putting them on a 2-turn clock at the moment. So swing in at them and hope that they can't do anything about this. They go to 12 points of Commander, so if we hit them once more then they're done for, but they've got a massive turn ahead of them here, and we're about to... Oh, actually, we have an unlimited hand size with the Reliquary Tower and the Thought Vessel, so we actually don't have to discard our cards. The Celestus going to flip round again. We can only counter 2 mana spells, unfortunately. Okay, a Swords to Plowshares. Yeah, pretty sure we can't counter that. So, unfortunately, just going to have to allow that. We do gain 12 life at least. Then Disenchant goes onto the Commander's Plate, so definitely could have countered that, so they do the right thing in getting rid of the Kozilek first. That's an instant speed spell as well, so I couldn't have countered it with the Warping Whale either. Reality Shift onto our commander after that. And that manifests us into a waste, so we can't flip that round. And once again going after the pilot token, we can respond with a Spatial Contortion, which is probably what we do next turn. A Body Double comes in as a copy of a creature in a graveyard. So we can copy the Ulamog here. So that's exactly what they do, copying Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. Now swinging in at us with the Angels. Takes us down to our starting life total. Going up to 19 cards in hand thanks to the Jingataxius. They've got 52 cards left in the library. Okay, just more mana in a Fractured Power Stone. Throw out the Khan's Bastion. I think we go for our commander here. And play the Power Stone. Draws them a card, puts a plus counter on the Liberator. Then go for Sword of the Animist. And then we'll just equip up the manifested creature here, I think. Might as well swing in and get a bit of ramp on the go. Obviously the manifested creature goes down there. Yeah, I think we just hold it like that. No point in equipping up the sword this turn because we can hold up the Khan's Bastion. And maybe a little bit of interaction here as well. Just a case of waiting to lose the game at this point. Shorikai making a pilot again. Now the Proteus Staff going on to the pilot will fizzle that ability and get rid of the pilot before it can be shuffled. Drawing another card with Nezahal. They've got 22 cards in hand, so I'm not really worried about that. And there's a negate. I have no doubt that they've got counters for absolutely anything we can do here. Takes them into a Dream Trawler. Then swinging in with the Angels, and the Ulamog will exile a bunch of cards off the top of our library. We will just take the damage here. 29 cards in hand they end with thanks to the Jingataxius. Okay, and into an Urza's Factory. I got my hopes up. I thought we'd assemble Tron straight off the top there, but not quite. We can make a 2/2 assembly worker with that though. Equip the Sword of the Animist onto... might as well just put it on our commander. Shorikai with a 1/1. Then untapping their Shorikai with the Monamo so that they can do that again. Generous Gift goes onto our Liberator. Can't counter that with the Warping Whale. Celestus turning night today again, so we'll loot once more. 32 cards left in the library after this. Temporal Trespass, take an extra turn after this one. So I think I'll just take the damage that's incoming. There's nothing in this deck that can do anything about all this. It's a colourless deck, so we have to out-aggro our opponent and slam down Eldrazi, and if we can't do that we don't win. So we'll just take any damage that they can offer us here. That is a late to dinner, and fetching out an Emeria Shepherd. I think they just played a Plains into the Emeria, so should be able to fish something else out. That is a Scholar of the Ages. Returning to hand, the Disenchant and Swords to Plowshares. Activating Shorikai. Swinging in at us for 25, is it? It's going to be even more than that. Dream Trawler draws. We'll just take the damage here. Even if we drew into all his dust or some kind of wrath, they've got counter magic for it. They've got 32 cards in hand, so we'll just take the damage and finally get this game over and done with. Alright, and going down to -7, so it's a good game to my opponent. Hopefully you all enjoyed the Urza ROFLthopter games. I'll try and get a better one than this. There's a lot of early scooping going on tonight, so this is the best game I could get. Sometimes the only time to get a full game out of someone is when they're winning, so hopefully you all enjoyed it. Like I said, leave it a thumbs up if so. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.